I'd like you to imagine sitting beside me in a fire truck, winding its way through the Adelaide Hills. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Everything is dark. Everything is quiet. Dark, except for the headlights as they shine on the barriers on the side of the road and onto the bush behind, which is still burning. And dark, except for the flash, flash, flash of the red light on the roof, casting an eerie red glow around. Smoke is rising, embers are glowing. And quiet, except for the tick, 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 as the light goes around. Flash, 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 tick, tick, tick. It is the night of February the 16th, 1983, the night of the Ash Wednesday bushfires. One of the most devastating fire events in Australia's history. I had been fighting bushfires until past midnight. I'd got home after midnight, got maybe an hour's sleep, when the phone rang. I picked up the phone. Hey Bobbi, can you turn out? There are outbreaks. And so I found myself back in that fire truck through the night, attending to more bushfires. There was work to be done. There were baby possums, orphaned, to be picked up. There were burning tree trunks that had fallen across the road, needing to be cleared. The radio crackled. The fire dispatcher said, "Can you turn out?" Was sucked out and blown across the Mount Barker Road, which was the main highway through to Melbourne and to the east. The day before, Ash Wednesday itself, was a day I will never forget. It was a day of 43-degree heat, of 110 kilometre-hour winds blowing from the north, blowing topsoil off all the farmers' paddocks so that the sky was brown and the sun just a yellow blob in the sky. You could feel it in the day. You knew something was going to happen. It was an evil day. I knew something would happen in the middle of the afternoon. It did. The first siren. Ooh. The first pager beeped. And firefighters turned out across both South Australia and Victoria by their thousands. It was a long day. And so I fought fires all night long, got maybe an hour's sleep, and finally got home 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, had a shower, picked up a newspaper, and I did what most people were doing in the morning. I went to work. And it was so weird because it was like a normal day. It was, like everyone was at work, it was all normal, no problem. Until I read the paper. And I sat at my desk. And tears started to roll down my cheeks and fell in big, fat blobs onto the newsprint and soaked out. Because that day, 75 people lost their lives. 75 people woke up that morning and didn't see the end of the day. 75 people had hopes and dreams and plans and things to do that they were going to do and didn't get to. I could have taken so much from that. Life is short. Life is fragile. Life is brief. One day, and it could be today, there are no more one days. And that night, that day changed me. It changed me from everything that happened before to everything that happened after. Now, I was a young 20-something-year-old firefighter and pretty stupid and pretty naive. But I took away from that day a philosophy of not ever wanting to waste a day, wanting every day to count. Now, I didn't learn that lesson all then. I'm not that smart. It's taken me 40 years to learn that lesson. It's taken me 40 years to discover why I'm on this planet. It's taken me 40 years to discover my passion, my truth. I searched for my passion for decades. I went to all the trainings. I've been to Tony Robbins. I've been to T. Harv Eker. I've been to so many events. And I was looking for my passion everywhere. I looked behind the fridge. I looked under the cushions on the sofa. I asked a mentor. I said, "Where is my passion?" And he tapped me on my chest. He said, "Bobbi, there's your passion. That's where you find it." But I didn't understand that. I didn't know what he was talking about. And I kept looking and kept looking and kept looking. And all through those 40 years, I was living a life that wasn't mine. I was living a life of fear and not good enough and obligation and living a story that had been imposed upon me. And I have to say, a story that I also agreed to, because it wasn't all imposed. And all through those years, I lived in London for 25 years, doing jobs I hated. The joy came from the commute. When I was dreaming of a better future. And I remember I would catch the tube train and I would stand in the exact same place on the platform. I knew exactly what time the train was arriving. I knew exactly where the door would stop. And if I stood right here, I could duck around that corner and get to my favourite seat just behind the driver's cab. And there I would sit and immerse myself in business books, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was here for a big thing. Who else is here for a big thing? Who else has got a story in them? Who else has got something to create? I always knew that I was here for something important. And even in the darkest days, even when I was so sad and depressed and felt that no one loved me, I kept believing. I kept believing that there was more. And I've never given up on that belief. Sometimes I had to borrow a bit of belief from some people, and they know who they are, until I could grow my own. And now everything has changed for me. In my 60s now, I've changed everything. I've changed my gender, I've changed my mindset, I've changed my personality, I've changed my diet, I've changed my fitness program, I've changed everything. How, Bobbi? How have you changed everything? Through awareness and telling myself a better story. A better story. All of the stories of my life that I thought were my truths, were they? Were they really my truths? Or was it just become easier for me to believe? I want to ask you, where in your life, in your heart of hearts, do you know something is true for you, but you haven't given yourself permission to acknowledge it? Is there something that you know that you're here for, but you're too frightened to step towards it? We are all busy people, aren't we? Who else is busy? Who else could have been somewhere else tonight, but have come here? Congratulations. But haven't we got like, there's the past, it's gone, here's the future, we're really busy. There's the present, we're really busy. There's the future, get to it when we're ready. The future is already here. And so as I remember back to that night of Ash Wednesday, I remember the lights of the truck as it panned across the road. I wished I could have seen the whole road ahead, but all I could see was up to the first bend. And isn't that what life is like? We want to see the whole plan, but all we can see is that bit, and isn't that enough? Yes. And as I remember that light on the roof going tick, 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 marking out units of time, never to return. And I remember the guardrails. Sometimes guardrails are there to keep us safe. And sometimes they're there to keep us constrained. Where are the guardrails in your life that you think is your safety, but actually it's your constraint? And so that night changed me. Maybe, just maybe, this night changed you.